correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome to Me and Steve Talk RPG, the podcast where me and my friend Steve...
We're playing games this time.
So I think that as Prang lands and kind of joins you guys at the edge of the ship where the launch comes off, I think at this point your group's kind of like, separated themselves. I think the Claris kind of prisoner is still tied up. It's kind of like looking around. I was like, oh, this is a nice ship. Nice ship. Oh, wow. Look at this is okay. No wonder you guys beat us. Like that kind of like comments in the background. The Antilles engineers, they've kind of gone off their own.
He's really looking for a cushy.
The Antilles guys have kind of gone off. They're doing, because they're wanting to help their shipmates. So they're doing whatever they can to kind of stabilize or whatever these different launches.
So I kind of walk over to Prang and I must thank you. It appears my boarding device needs further testing and calibration. Thank you very much for your assistance.
Well, next time you decide to test it, I'll make sure that Zarda and I are out in case you need some redirection again.
It would be most helpful.
You're doing all right, friend.
By the
you
way,
seem a bit off.
Me? Oh, I'm fine. But we should probably go to the captain.
Of course.
Certainly. Exactly. I heard something about a giant fireball or something. I was down trying to work on the engines. Stabilize. What exactly happened up on the top of the deck?
Apparently one of the Inquisitors decided that he needed to self-destruct. I don't know how all that stuff works.
He summoned a giant sun fireball to eviscerate himself, most of his troops, and his hope, I'm sure, was the entire ship. He was very keen on making sure that the ship went down.
Dedication of these Inquisitors is well beyond the bounds of logic.
Terrifying, honestly.
They really wanted to kill that cat person.
Well, unfortunately, they did succeed in that.
Oh.
Groth leans over to Prang and tells him, I'm sorry that I was held up by our enemies. Maybe my magic could have saved him.
To be honest, there wasn't much that anybody could do for him. He had been impaled by a part of the ship. When I got to him, he was nearly gone.
Tough way to go. What are your guys' kind of worst fears? Like, what's the way you fear most dying from? I think mine would probably.
Who is this?
Oh, this is a prisoner.
I thought we were
possibly a new friend.
Those things
defector.
are.
A defector.
Is he a defector or a prisoner? Because those two are very different things.
That's all dependent on him.
I mean, I feel like, those are kind of just different perspectives depending on how you look at it. But
I believe he's looking for work, Captain.
Well, I must say that technically a defector would be someone who willingly leaves one side for the other, where a prisoner is someone forcibly taken from one side to the other.
He's a little of both.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I mean, looks obviously all around you. I don't really see any other options for me right now, and I'd rather make the best of it, so...
You could try to fly.
I saw you try to do that earlier. Didn't go very well, did it?
Can confirm.
I don't think you went any better, buddy. And you land on the deck with, partial wings or something?
That's why I said can confirm.
Ah, my bad. You're right. I forgot my place. I'm a deserter prisoner thing. I really shouldn't be talking this much.
Karlax, yes. I feel that you have a volunteer for the next time you test your launching device.
Whoa. My best friend over there would never let that happen.
Captain, I believe the important thing that we're bringing to you are two things. We have some information about the enemy's plans, and we also have the location of that destroyer that went down. And we would probably be it would be worth our time to acquire that engine and some of the weaponry and such from the ship if possible.
Who were you talking to?
Oh, we thought that. I think.
I thought we were on the captain, right?
No,
Not yet.
Oh, okay. I thought we got into the captain.
but when you do, you can definitely do that speech, or have done that speech, I guess I should say. But no, you guys were still kind of on the side chat, like, because half of you don't know what the other half of you just did.
Yeah.
I'm not in a very sharing mood.
Oh, especially with like Chatty McGee. I'm not surprised.
Did manage to stabilize things. I hope that aided in the rest of you all getting back off of the doomed ship.
Oh, it was invaluable, friend. Absolutely.
Well, still do not understand this Inquisition's fanatical devotion. But perhaps I am not meant to.
Maybe in time you will.
Did the
No,
rest of you fare reasonably well above decks while I was down below?
I had a little bit of luck. I didn't die, obviously.
Helped to turn the tide in the battle before their madman tried to blow everyone up.
Yes.
I wouldn't say successful. I would say not dead. We lost the quarry that they were trying to protect and a ship. I don't know if I'd call that a success.
By most measures, I would agree.
So I think at this point, the captain is doing rounds, has made their way to you. They're still just pristine. Everything is just put together perfectly. Very military bearing, though this is a privateer ship. And right, report.
Quite a lot has happened, sir. Well, first off, we have ourselves a prisoner. Possibly defector, we'll see. And unfortunately, we lost the we lost what they were after.
Come again?
There was a catfolk that the two inquisitors were attempting to capture, kill. It's unclear at this point, but by the time I got to them, they had been impaled in the fight and did not make it.
Did they give you anything or provide any information?
They were rather delirious and incoherent.
So we know nothing at this time.
We know some things.
He gave me this dagger and said, "Brother, take this."
Right. Damn. If this is all the information we have, then we're likely going to have to go to the surface to try to collect what the Karlax was chasing after, because at this time we have no clue.
Well, we also have some more information that a attack is planned on the capital. And in this document here, date, time, and details, provided by our friendly defector prisoner.
My goodness, you brought this over? I don't want to role play against myself. So it was very appreciative of the defector prisoner, but this does not explain why they're chasing the catfolk. So while this information is crucial, we must get it back to Antilles.
Well, he did mention that the catfolk that they were chasing was a herald.
What? A herald?
Mm-hmm. Of that variety.
And the captain is going to turn and look Prang in the eyes and say, "A herald spoke with you, and they said no more than take this dagger."
As I said, most of what he said was incoherent and it was unclear.
Because I'm not sure if you, the player, remember or not. The guy, when you first saw him, said, "Brother, I can't believe you're alive." Oh shit, this is being recorded. So I don't remember exactly what I said, but it's along the lines of "they're coming."
I know.
Okay.
Teacher Steve, help us out.
I couldn't remember because I then said, "Oh, here's stuff that you get." There was overlap, so I couldn't remember what you knew or didn't know.
Yep.
Okay, so you are lying to your captain.
I'm not lying. I'm just not telling the whole truth. There's a difference.
Lie of omission.
Well,
That he looked you in the eyes and say the herald did not say anything else to you. It was
He
was
did
all
say that what he said was incoherent and confusing, which is true. And some of that wasn't said; it was absorbed. From
No,
the
that was
sound of things.
after. That was after. But I was going to continue to say, he said something about they're coming. I can only assume that has to do with this paperwork here.
Prang, you've come so long from the streets I saved you from. I trust you. I know that you wouldn't betray me in the faith we have built over these years together. Thank you, my
course
friend.
not.
Thank you for trusting me with this.
And I just give him like kind of curtsy / bow, keeping my eyes contacted with him.
Okay. Did I guilt trip you enough? Should I lay it on a little thicker?
You can sure try. Yeah, that's yeah, that was a lot.
insofar as the lost vessel, I was in the engine room at the time of the significant impact and significant damage to many of the crystal structures and so forth. However, I'm fairly confident should we have the chance to do so, there's significant salvage available from the vessel.
Right. So this catfolk would not have known of the planned Karlax assault, as you learned about that on the dinghy on the way over. So their coming was clearly referring to something different. So I think we are going to have to send you down to the surface to search the heavy cruiser for more information. Actually, Terry, when is the assault on Antilles Isles, or the Isles of Antilles?
Let's see. It's 3 months from now.
Okay, so there's time for you to go down to the surface. If you choose
Yeah.
a sooner time, there's not time to go to the surface. And if you choose a later date, like 3 months, then there's time for you to go down to the surface. So do you want to go to the surface or not? I'm giving you that kind of for your triumph.
Do we want to go to the surface and scavenge?
I mean, if we're able to recover that engine and weapons and extra crystals and stuff, that would be a huge score for our.
So you're not being sent down to, you can, if you want, that's a lot of resources to go down to be able to bring back all those crystals. You're being sent down to search the ship for information about what was going on. Because at this point in time, the captain has no concept of why Karlax was chasing this catfolk, besides a claim to be a herald.
So from
But that Karlax said, any reason Karlax will invade a place. Oh, we heard there was a herald there. They'll go after somebody. Oh, we heard they were hailed. Like that is their justification for doing everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean, from Karlax's point of view, he doesn't know about the things that Prang does, so he's perfectly willing to go to the surface.
Same. I mean,
I think what Terry was asking is you, the player, not you, the character.
yeah.
I'm good either way. I mean, going to the surface is...
You don't get to you gotta make a choice, bro. You gotta make a vote
Prang will say yes now.
to go to the surface.
Sure. But
Okay.
I assume is this we're going to leave immediately after we just got back on the ship, or we're going to have some time on the ship before we go back down there?
Hours on the ship, not days.
Okay.
Yeah,
and you're not-
a little rest before we get back down there, because it's going to be grueling.
And you're not able to take your mount because it is toxic down there.
That's sad face.
I think
Never mind. I don't want to go.
I shall go and prepare the necessary supplies for the rest of you, and myself as well.
So remember, this is a very dangerous, very toxic place that most people avoid at all possible risk or cost, all possible cost. So probably Karlax is the only one that isn't fearful of going down to the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Karlax, not Parlax, my bad.
Yep. But yeah, I think Karlax just kind of goes off to start gathering supplies because this all seems perfectly logical and acceptable to him.
As we leave the captain, and I assume we leave DP with them.
I feel like Barry probably shows them to the 10 forward and like shows them where the kitchen is, and they kind of bond over spices and stuff. And the guy likes to stress bake, and is gonna just start like baking food and stuff. Unless you guys want it to go.
No, I just want him dropped off so I can talk to the other three by themselves without DP there.
I'll leave a guard with him in the kitchen to make sure that he doesn't do anything fishy, like
Barry. He's not doing anything fishy.
He's still baking.
Just he's
not using seafood.
Probationary period.
I mean, you rolled a triumph on your charm check. Like the guy is your best. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm just letting you know, like the guy is like very happy. You're letting him do what he wants.
The rest of the crew and I'll explain to him like, hey, it's just for looks, to make them feel more comfortable because you just got brought on. Yeah, it's nothing against you. It's
try one of these.
You implicitly. Of course.
Check this out. Does that work? Or the spice balance is a little off? What do you think?
I think it's brilliant. A pinch of nutmeg more might make it
sing. This is why you're that guy. So right. And he goes back in the kitchen, doesn't even care.
And I'll make my exit while he's making his next batch.
And I think crew are starting to kind of come in and eat and leave. So like is kind of doing the bakey thing that you never really loved because you're more about the drinks. So he's taken care of. Cool.
So as I'm trying to gather everybody in one place, I assume Karlax is getting ready. So maybe we all gather in his little hovel, his little area, or we can go up to the crow's nest either way. So I didn't want to speak of this with our new friend around, but
is everything all right?
Yeah, I wasn't entirely forthcoming with all the information.
I figured as much, but I didn't want to push it. What's going on? Are you all right?
Yes, and he'll spread his shirt open.
I knew I saw it.
I'm Iron Man.
The Herald gave me this before he died and said it needed to be kept safe. I am going to go to the captain, but I don't know if there's a need for us to go down to the surface. But I did not want your new pal to be in on this, considering his loyalties.
Previous allegiances, of course. I fully understand and respect your decision.
Do you want the captain for this conversation to be present, or do you want it to just be you guys?
I'm just going to go. We can go back after.
No problem. I was just clarifying. I was just letting you know you had that say. If you want the captain there, you could be.
No, I want to talk to these guys first and make sure they were on board with that.
Love it.
No, it seems a very prudent decision made. However, it does seem like information that Captain Callister would find very useful.
That is my plan I think we should go to the captain, but as I said, I didn't want our in tow to be privy to this conversation.
Of course.
So Karlax, you're obsessed with crystals, right?
Mm-hmm.
He just showed you a very old, ancient crystal.
And I actually hand it over to Karlax and say,
oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, this is probably something that is right up your alley.
So I will examine it fairly closely.
Be careful. Do not put it on.
What happened when you put it on?
So I think Karlax at this point is examining it much like an archaeologist or a museum curator might examine a new piece and like just looking at it and like turning it slowly and
you got like weird instruments you're like pulling out and you're like measuring different things about it and like you're like there's energy around it that you're like tapping into and
the magnifier model.
Oh yeah. Boop, 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 boop.
Yep.
These are like some ancient runes. That's the writing on the actual shard to make it into a crystal. It's just like nothing you've ever seen before. You can make me a dice roll to see if you can identify what type of crystal this is.
And as he's doing that, I'm explaining what I experienced. And so when I put it on our journey back to the boat.
Mhm.
A flood of images, senses, smells, and environments came over me.
Really?
They were all a jumble, but the one thing that is clear is that the prophet Sycorax was, at one point, holding a great darkness at bay.
You're kidding.
This is what was shown to me.
That changes
Very
a
interesting.
lot. If this vision is to be believed, of course. We still don't know exactly what this is.
So what do you want me to roll here, Ben? Like my runic knowledge thing?
Yeah.
And what's
it's
my difficulty?
3 purple, but you're gonna get 2 boost because Prang has kind of been explaining their experience with it, giving you some insight.
Okay. Is it too much to fish for another one because we're in the shop with all my inspector gadgets?
Oh, touche. Yeah, go ahead. I will make checks harder if you guys excessively and like non-logically try to push for boosts. But if you guys do have a good boost explanation, you'd get them. It just drives me nuts. Like, can I have a boost because I'm out in the open air and that
It's
just drives me up a
Tuesday.
wall. Yeah,
It's Tuesday. It's my favorite day.
it's a day that ends with Y.
It's my lucky day.
So I hate it when people do that, but if you have good logic, it will be very hard for me to say no.
So 2 success, but a threat.
Got it. So you are able to piece out that this is a memory crystal. These are things you've never really heard of. They're like whispered about in rumors, but no one's ever really seen them. These are ancient kind of tech that's really one of the things that's been lost because they just operate at a whole nother level from kind of modern day rune crystal tech.
So
I think that for your threat, you don't necessarily understand how to interface with it.
okay. So I think Karlax starts to he gets what you guys probably at this point know is kind of his luminousness sort of increases a little bit. This is what happens when he gets excited. Well, this is most interesting. This appears to be I've heard of them, but I've never seen one. Some sort of memory crystal, very, very, very old. But I think, for the life of me, I have no idea how to use it.
It seems it reacted to being put on. But beyond that,
I don't know.
could
Perhaps
I
should.
possibly try putting it on?
I do not recommend that.
I'm uncertain as to whether or not, given my being, whether it is most advisable for me. Often work well with these type of things. However, what do the rest of you think? Should I attempt to interface with the crystal?
If it could reveal some information we are not otherwise privy to, it may be good, but if it's going to pose a significant risk to you, I would not recommend.
It's possible that Karlax's system would be able to interpret the information in a clearer manner.
And it would be compatible.
Or it may not react at all.
Or it could corrupt him. We know not exactly what it will do.
It may have been a mistake that I put it on. I don't know. I don't have any lasting effects that I can tell, but...
Well, Karlax, if you feel comfortable doing it, I see no reason why we shouldn't at this point. If the stakes are as high as Prang makes them seem.
So tell me, Prang, what exactly happened when you put this on? What happened to you?
I became unaware of my current surroundings and fell into another place. The realm of ether, almost.
So I will say this. I am willing to attempt to wear this necklace. However, I feel we should make Captain Callister aware that we do have it before we do so, and when I do wear it, I would like the rest of you to be present and us be in some sort of environment where things are a bit controlled in case
Of course.
there is some weird interaction.
Let's just take it to the captain, and if you're going to do it, let's do it there with the captain. And we can, if there's information we can extract, we can deliver it as soon as possible.
I agree.
Sounds very logical.
Are you back, Ben? Did we lose
Yeah,
you?
sorry.
All
Sorry, Discord stuttered. But I was listening to a lot of that. And
All of a
honestly,
sudden, it's dark at Ben's house. No more light out.
it really did get very dark, didn't it?
So I guess we're going to go head to the captain.
Are all of you? Are you doing that, or are you putting on the necklace first?
No, we're going to the captain first, and then putting the necklace on.
Sure. Unless there's something very specific you want to role play, it's very easy for you guys to just update the captain on what you did.
Yeah. It basically, I'm going to apologize to him that I was not forthcoming, but the reason was I did not trust our new companion.
As soon as you say that, he's just chill, gets it, and is gonna right. So what are your recommendations based off of your current information?
Well,
Do you think we need to, basically he's going to try to clarify, do you think we still need to go to the surface?
Oh, no.
Perfect. Then he's going to walk off. I may need you to do some scouting, Prang, but for right now, we should be good. Otherwise, please solidify your plans for when we get back to Antilles, and then potentially aid the ship in recovery and management of, well, quite frankly, there's way more people on the ship than it's meant to manage. So we're stretched rather thin for resources. And he's going to walk off, start issuing orders, getting the ship prepared to make sail.
All right.
Was there anything else you want to do? I'm sorry.
No, as we walk off, I'm going to remind our little group that the Herald seemed to be very insistent that this is a important piece for something. The impression that I got was that there is some kind of continuing darkness coming, and this may play a part in it. So take that as an advisement as to whatever you experience when you put that on.
Fair. I say let's get a few things in order to help the ship deal with the extra people, and then meet in my workshop area, and we'll see what comes of the crystal.
Sounds a plan.
So basically, I mean, in my mind, this is we scurry about, do a few things to help get the ship in order, and wipe to us all gathered back in the workshop.
I agree.
Where,
100%. So I think probably you guys each went out and did a little bit of like other stuff since you just got back from a fight to recover. Each of you probably has different areas of the ship that you tend to, so doing little stuff while Karlax is setting up this trial of the memory crystal. And you come back and the room is kind of set up as almost like an observation, supports, protections, all this fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So I think you guys all group back together. This space is free from everyone else because this is, kind of like your more private space. What do you do?
So I think it just cuts to kind of where, like you said, we've got it all set up and everyone else is kind of around the area. And Karlax is picking the necklace up off this little pedestal table thing, that he's kind of in the center of the room with. And he just slips it on and kind of, like closes his eyes, kind of in almost like a meditation sort of, somehow in his mind attempting to connect with this thing as he puts it over his head.
Bluetooth pairing.
Yes.
So you've kind of invented your character.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to create space for you to be able to say no to this. I think as you go to slip it on, I think the crystal sockets into a space and like integrates with your character.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay. So
That's cool.
Do you want?
Real cool.
You can say no.
No. I think that maybe as he like puts it on, it kind of embeds in that spot between the ends of the clavicle where your human clavicles would be, just below the chin. The top of the chest.
Does he turn into a projector?
Obi-Wan, you're my only hope.
Well, the crystal in the forehead's, a vision thing. So But I feel like it to go with what you're saying though, like as he puts it on, the rest of you kind of see like sort of a glow, and the necklace part of the pendant just sort of dissolves into him, and you're left with just the crystal, like right there.
Yeah. And I think that as you're going to have to make me a hard discipline check, but I think because your character doesn't remember a lot of their early life,
Mm-hmm.
I think as you insert this memory crystal, a memory kind of pops into your head
Okay.
of your middle life. What is it?
I think
Not your early life. I'm claiming the shit out of your early life. You get no say over that part. Middle life.
No, I think it's some sort of flashback to him performing the tasks he was designed for, which we've talked about a little bit. I don't know if it was sort of a mining, harvesting. Again, we haven't talked a lot about early
So
times.
I think you flash back because I think your character kind of had like concepts of this and thought that's what they're designed for. I think as this crystal merges into you, you become aware that that is not what you were originally designed for, but that is what you were repurposed into. Because after the searing, you weren't fully alive yet. You were kind of in a fugue state. And I think you become aware that there's something even deeper for you.
Okay.
Cool. Make me a hard discipline check.
Yeah. 2 failure and a threat.
You have the equivalent of like shutting down because you're just overwhelmed by the knowledge that you're getting.
So I think, yeah, as you see
and then you like sputter awake. And what is if you want to describe it, you're more than welcome to, but you're going to have some kind of like negative outcome. There's some memory that you're regaining that is having a negative impact on you.
So would it be within the realm of what you're thinking that maybe part of Karlax's original purpose was effectively something like a battle droid, with just an assault bot where, you know what I mean? Like, so he's got these memories of just him causing violence and destruction.
So your character's more of a head character, right, than a body character?
I mean, he's got brawn.
So I think then your character has memories, I think, of building massive weapons.
Okay, that works. Okay. So I think as he kind of, you all see him kind of, almost kind of like slump in place and then kind of jerk back into kind of his normal posture. And he's mumbling something about, no, I couldn't have.
Karlax, are you all right? Karlax?
But he kind of blinks and looks around. That
How are we
was
doing, big guy?
unpleasant. And he reaches up to like take the necklace off, but there's nothing there for him to grab.
But as you touch the crystal, you too get this image of Minbara. Actually, no, you get this image of the energies, the colors and the dark, and kind of this like almost yin yang type battle.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see a bright flash, which is when suddenly the darkness gets entrapped by the brightness. And I think for some reason you feel really connected to that bright flash.
Okay.
And I think that this is probably a good place for us to end. So I think that what I want to do for our last couple minutes are each of you are going to tell me what they're doing narratively to help all these survivors that the Comet's Tail has brought on, or what your character is doing to help the Comet's Tail get back to Antilles safely. And that is going to affect how well the ship gets back. Or do you guys get maybe you guys run into more Caleres, ships. Maybe some animals come out of the fog. So this will tell us how well you travel home or how safely you travel home. So Eric, I figure yours is probably the most straightforward, so tell me what you're doing.
Zarda and I are going to spend a lot of time scouting out and flying around to avoid any kind of entanglements that are possible.
I didn't see that coming. Make me an average dice roll. Whatever, any of your knowledge, your ride, perception, whichever one you kind of feel fits best for your character, kind of going out and scouting. I think your character is doing a combination of different things. Like there's different energy currents that's going to let the ship go better or worse. Storms, trauma, basically everything you just said is accurate.
Yep. So I have, I'm going to be perception because it's going to be looking out to make sure that there's no threats coming towards us.
100%.
What's the difficulty?
Average. All these checks are going to be average, whatever people end up doing.
Okay. All right. So that cancels and that cancels. So 1 success, 1 advantage.
Perfect. So yeah, you're able to see some storms brewing. There's some outpouching. So you're able to kind of navigate a path. And you have little crystal, like little buoys that are kind of glow and have a little bit of lift, so they kind of hover. So you're able to kind of mark a trail for the comet's tail to follow behind you. Perfect.
For the advantage, could we make it so that there is potentially like maybe there's some like creatures or something that are able to be hunted along the way to supply food to the people on the ship?
100%. 100%.
That actually falls perfectly in line with what I was gonna do. Provide food for the whole everyone.
Cool.
Just cook up a storm and just like
cool.
Provide booze to those that are discomfort and some really strong stuff for the people that are undergoing some sort of like surgery, just as like a little take the edge off.
So what skill do you think you're utilizing to do that? Also, Eric, I'm going to challenge you to come up with a more magical or mythological than just some fish flew by and we hooked them on a line and brought them in. I feel like there's really cool ways we could describe food being found in this area, if you want.
Sure. Yeah, I'll think about that while the others
I love
are
it.
doing.
I feel like, I guess, coordination or cool would honestly be one of the two.
So
because
coordination is like your balance dexterity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then cool just being cool under pressure,
Yeah. So coordination doesn't make much sense to me, given what you're describing. Cool could definitely work. Well, I think cool, you're talking about being charming. You also talked about doing some medicine stuff. You described doing like 5 different things.
Not medicine stuff, just providing strong drink because it helps dull the pain. That's all it is. It's not even medicine, it's just booze.
Yes, but you are assisting in a medical activity.
Oh, fair.
So we are in a narrative setting.
Ooh,
so,
and I would just provide food and drink then, because medicine is a little out of my scope.
Well, no, you're getting to choose one thing.
Oh, okay.
You seem to be struggling to know what skill you want to use. So I am telling you what you described, what skill would go with it.
Okay.
And then I think adventuring potentially might be what we use for cooking, but I'm open to that. But I mean, you also described just helping people, so it's also being charming.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind doing a charm roll as it is.
Lean into.
You are literally the bartender who people come to with their problems, so I kind of felt like your character is probably going to be doing more like trauma management of like...
Yeah. Therapy for everyone. Trauma therapy for everyone.
Don't you mean the bartender?
Well played. So give me an average charm check.
1 success, 4 advantage.
Love it. Yeah. So between you and your new cook, you guys are just you've got like the right feel. It's not too lively. It's not like too drunkenly, but it's like comfort. It's like you guys went through trauma, you survived. You've all seen those like old war videos of like the soldiers like with a cup of tea and like toast, and it's just like the best thing they've ever had because they just came through a horrible ordeal. And that's kind of the atmosphere that you are creating within your 10 forward. And people are coming in, they're just kind of like, and they're settled, they're going back to work, and the ship is so much more efficient because of that. So what do you want for your advantages?
First one, definitely morale boost for everyone. Just they're feeling better. They're
Love it.
feeling more coherent. Their minds are back with them more. You
Yep.
know,
They're getting over the horrors they've gone through.
right. I think also one of the advantages should definitely be spent on our newest, my newest kitchen hand. Hearing all these stories and hearing how like rough it was, kind of gaining some empathy and kind of losing like any lingering desire to be his old ideologies and leave those old dogmas kind of behind, because it's like it's no longer serving him here, and it no longer served him when he was part of it.
Love it.
Just because it's like full abandonment of his original cause, because really what's going on here is far more important and far more wholesome. And then besides that, just I guess
I think I'd like your last advantage to be that you win the crew over for your buddy too. So not only is he kind of accepted the ship has accepted him because of his cooking.
Yeah. And then I guess actually, well, I had 4. The last one I could probably just like remove strain or from everyone of the party.
Well, this is a
Of
narrative
a set.
situation, so that's not really viable. So this is more
Okay.
like
No worries.
narratively, how are you affecting the travel home? Because you guys
Okay.
aren't going to have any strain when you get back to Antilles anyways.
Oh, okay.
Because
Now I
this is like a
understand.
couple day travel, right? So this
Yeah.
is like, what are you guys doing on the trip home?
The last
Okay.
advantage, everyone's going to be able to be more well rested and
Yeah.
will be more alert and clear think.
When you
Okay.
go to bed with a full stomach, you wake up so much better.
Sounds awesome. Cool. All right. Steve or Hagan, what are Karlax or Groth doing?
So Groth had been thinking about the capacity issues and realizing that with the number of people, we may potentially run out of water because we didn't have enough. So his idea was that he was going to basically go to the water tanks and beseech the water spirits to create some water and refill the tanks.
Cool. That's gonna be a primal, but that'll be an average check.
2 yellow, green, 2 purple. Got 2 success.
Love it. Yeah. So the water tanks, what is the type of, so as a primalist, you're very environmental. How does your magic tend to kind of manifest itself? Is it flowers? Is it stones? Is it spirits? Like, what's the way that your kind of magic represents itself?
Well, it kind of depends based on the element that I'm contacting. Like, his family is a stone speaker, and so in the past, some of them use their abilities for crafting stone, and they would like make buildings out of magic and stuff. But when I'm
Sure, but what does it look like? Like, a lot of times mages look a certain way. Or think about animes. Like in an anime, every character has a very distinct looking type of magic.
when I'm doing this with the water elements, there's a blue glow and kind of a ripple effect around me.
So are you talking to it? Are you chanting a spell? Are you cutting yourself? Are you mashing herbs? Like how are you doing this?
Talking to them, and I said I would beseech the earth spirit or the water spirits to act on our behalf and increase our quantities.
Got it. So I think you walk up and you kind of pull a handful and little god, we run low on supplies. We need you to make sure it does not run out. I ask you this from the sun and skies. And as you let it drop back in, you see that the barrel remains full and never actually goes below half. Cool. And then Karlax, what do you got for me?
So I think Karlax is paying extra attention to the systems on the ship that, like, be it sanitation, the things that would be, very obviously overloaded by the extra capacity, and also, he's actually steering very clear of any weapon systems for the time being, like consciously kind of avoiding them, which I know but it's kind of mundane, but it feels like the thing he would do.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense. Everything around here is what they would do, so don't ever say that again. And yeah, or I'll make you have another PTSD event. No, I'm joking. That I would never do that. I would never want to take your autonomy away from you or do something traumatic like that. But real talk. But anyway, Steve, don't ever apologize for playing your character again.
Okay. So,
so you are reducing the systemic load on the overall system of the Comet's Tail. So why don't you go ahead and make us a rune average difficulty check?
So 1 failure, but 5 advantage.
Okay. So you do not manage to make the sanitary and water reclamation or any of these other kind of utility systems more efficient, but you do.
There's a joke there that I'm just not going for.
I was gonna say, like, no, you said that system didn't have any.
By 5 advantage,
You instead are able to make some of the other systems of the ship run better.
So okay,
Some of the ship flies a lot faster.
Yeah, well, no, precisely. Okay, I wasn't able to.
Man, I tried
those
to
systems,
wrong,
but somehow through maybe inadvertently tweaking some of the propulsion or lift crystals, we actually do get there, say, half a day quicker than we expected or something.
Well, it's all narrative, so there's not actually like a time frame in my brain. But your ship is going to get there quicker and more efficiently with less wear and tear.
Yeah. Or I'm sorry, 1 failure, not 2, but still 5 advantage. So yeah, I think that makes sense with that roll.
Love it. Eric.
So the creatures that we are hunting / fishing are going to be something called Riftuprine.
We've had talks. We've had so many talks.
I know we have.
We need to be able to spell it and say it more than once. We are being recorded here, buddy.
Riftuprine?
Riftuprine?
Sounds like some kind of medication. Riftuprine.
I put it in the chat. So
4 out of 5 doctors agree.
These are a kind of almost like a billowy rainbow fish. You know how like some of those fish that have the great fins that kind of flow. These are kind of somewhat.
Oh, like betta fish?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like the big flowy.
Yep.
Yeah.
A little bit of goldfish in that too. So these are going to be shimmery, right? So what they do is how they survive is when they're hunted, they kind of almost like bamf, like Nightcrawler does. They almost go through this world and then they go through the I forget what you called it, Ben, the ethereal.
We can just call it the celestial realm, the ethereal realm.
So they transport themselves through there and come out somewhere else. So part of a skilled hunter is able to kind of predict how far they can go and where they might turn up based on their last location. So these Riftuprine are hunted for that particular, and they form schools. So it's very beautiful when they are out and flying in the sky because they're kind of like flying fish. So it's very beautiful to see them in a whole school, kind of with the light reflecting off of them. And they are hunted, but still respected because of their beauty.
And I think that they are also dangerous because if they bamf into your ship, they can obviously do a lot of really bad stuff to your.
Yeah, so that's part of what I was scouting to make sure that we didn't run into any schools of them.
Cool. Love that.
Perhaps at some point there could be, I don't know if there's a knowledge skill of like maybe animal, or I don't know if it falls on the primal, but eventually maybe we add that as a skill at some point.
I feel like adventuring.
I was gonna say adventuring,
Okay, it could be adventuring then, yeah.
but depending on what you're trying to do with it, that kind of where it starts coming into play. Like for instance, xenology in Star Wars. Xenology helps you know more about other species, but a med check is still a med check, and a
Right.
charm check is still a charm check. So I think it depends on kind of like what your intention is will shape it. So I would say adventuring or lore would probably be the two knowledge skills that would tie to this. Forbidden is very much going to be kind of lost knowledge, but lore would probably be more like knowing like the textbook about the Riftaprenes, whereas adventuring would probably be understanding more how to hunt it, how to harvest the parts from it and stuff.
Yeah.
Can the colloquial name for them be rift fins?
Yeah.
To make it easier.
So I kind of like the idea that whatever they're eating is actually in the other realm. So they're popping over to eat and then they pop back out. And when they bamf, they're not going really far. Like, they're going through, they're doing stuff and coming back. But it's not like they're going miles or whatnot.
No, it's like probably maybe less than 100 feet.
Yeah, I was thinking something like that. Yeah, that's so cool. Thank you for bringing that. I love that. Now they're going to have to show up a lot because they're just too fun.
Blickfish. Blickfish or blipfish. Blipfish. Yes, blipfish.
Blipfish are different. They can teleport.
Ah.
So, and I think this is fun too because they can be hunted so many different ways. Because flyers can basically like spear gun them. Ships probably can put nets out that have dampeners to prevent them from bamfing out. There's probably something magical about them for potion making or different spells and stuff.
And they make an excellent soup.
They make a great soup. They make you feel like you can move quicker.
Wings
perfect.
are used as crepes.
Love love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. All right, guys. I think this is a good place to wrap it up.
Intro and outro music by the band 12 Noon. You can email us at meandsteverpg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and RPGs. Find us on Facebook at Me and Steve RPG Podcast, on Discord at Me and Steve RPGs, and as always, all of these links are in the show notes. Thank you, and be kind to one another.
How much for the cigar?
Cigar, $20, dog. You gotta go down the street to the store and buy that.